Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present. I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby.
And today we are discussing Avatar, Fire and Ash, and The Last of the Mohicans. Two films on a capital E epic scale that depict the consequences of a native family adopting a white son. Just some incredible stuff.
I can't believe there's two movies about that. It's kind of weird that there are two movies about that, right?
Yeah, and both of them take place on a spinning blue rock.
That's true. Also technically true. Do we know that Pandora is blue like its people?
Oh, I mean, there's oceans, right? So it might at least appear blue. I feel
but
like
they have all that greenery too. Maybe it's a green planet.
Maybe it's a green planet. All right, well, sound off in the comments. What
color
is Pandora? And what color do you want Pandora to be?
Ooh,
let us know.
That's a better question.
This is probably our last episode of 2025.
A truly hellish year. A year so bad that we started a podcast.
That is true. I mean, as the ratio of people that have podcasts to people that don't have podcasts starts to quickly change, we have contributed to that effect. And hey, it's been a fun time.
We're bringing more chaos to the world, but we're having fun doing it.
Filling in a lot of personal cinema gaps for me, but also I think it's, I can't speak for you, Gabby, but I think it's been great that we've gotten to go out so often and watch these movies and get a chance to really reflect on them and get to share our thoughts and talk it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it gets me to the movies every week, or every other week consistently. And I mean, I was doing that before, but not as often as I have been now. I would sometimes be guilty of like letting a larger release slip and not see it in theaters. Like, I don't know, would I have seen Jurassic World in theaters if we had not made it one of the first episodes of this podcast? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that I
would have watched it on a plane 6 months later and it would have been fine.
The Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali of it all got me really interested in that movie specifically. But otherwise, yeah, catch me watching a Jurassic World movie months, if not years after the fact.
On Peacock on a plane. That's as they were intended.
Downloaded onto an iPad. Well, in lieu of movie news, we thought we might just take a moment to shout out some of the films that maybe we didn't cover on the podcast, but really liked that came out this year. For me, an honorable mention goes to F1, the F1 Apple TV movie starring Brad Pitt that lots of people confusingly thought, is this Brad Pitt the movie? Based on like the poster design. Do you remember that, Gabby?
Yes, I do. Well, I mean, the design was basically just Brad Pitt. And like for people in the US that don't are not as familiar with F1, the brand, I feel like it did just feel like, oh, this is Brad Pitt in a car. Cool.
100%. Yeah. And I am not a Formula One fan. I'm not someone who bought in on the Netflix hype. And in fact, I'm still a little bit confused about it. But I remember having a really good time in the movie theater. I remember feeling that there were some problems, but that there was something that was compelling me to go back. And so over the holidays, I've been at my parents' house. I'm here right now in a very cold basement recording this. And, I decided to put F1 on Apple TV Plus because, I was like, let's just have something on that's fun, kind of in the background. And I found myself surprisingly drawn in and emotionally affected. And I just really think that they're on to something there, but between Top Gun, Maverick, and F1, Kaczynski's really got something. He's with cooking. Just let's get these older male stars as these kind of elder statesman people, but also that are still just so badass, can get the job done.
Yeah, they can still open a movie. People are gonna go out to see Brad Pitt. Who cares if it's an Apple movie,
100%.
Who cares if it's F1 and I don't know what that is?
Or like need the commenters to say all the rules of F1 the whole
Ooh.
movie. They
I
have to
don't
just
know the rules and I refuse to learn them. But I haven't seen F1 yet. I will watch it. I think especially pre-Oscar season because it is still hanging in there for especially some consideration in technical categories, but I think it's a dark horse. I
mm,
think a lot of people like it for bigger categories like cinematography and for even, I've heard whispers of picture and I don't personally have that in my 10 predictions right now, but it's a dark horse, so I must
is
watch.
it being considered for editing, do you know?
It probably should be, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Usually editing is the category that you have like three best picture contenders, like the very serious best picture three, top three, and a couple of other like technical excellence picks.
Hmm.
But that's my tip for for winning your Oscars pool. Actually, is that usually whatever wins best editing is likely to be the best picture frontrunner.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I hope F1 just gets considered for editing because there's some really smart
For your
edits in there.
consideration, Evan is
Yeah.
on the campaign right now.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, call me. I'll help boost your campaign. What about you, Gabby? What's a movie you want to shout out for 2025?
I I'm so glad you asked. I want to shout out one of the most divisive movies of 2025, which I had a great time at. And that movie is Materialists from Celine Song.
Incredible.
I had a great time. Made me believe in love, made me believe in bangs. Might end up getting bangs, who knows? Dakota Johnson is just simply one of the most attractive people on this earth,
Yeah.
and I, I'm not going to be unkind because I think that there are moments when she absolutely crushes it, and then there are moments where I'm like, oh, she's thinking about something else, isn't she? And that's okay. But
Yeah.
like
uh,
she has this one scene that has really stuck with me this year, and it's the scene in the beginning of Materialists where she's talking a bride down from like a pre-wedding meltdown. Like
Yes.
she
Yeah.
has set up this bride and her soon-to-be husband, and the bride is having a complete meltdown because she's like, why am I doing this? I'm a feminist. I like don't I'm buying into the patriarchy. This is a $300,000 wedding or some shit. And the Dakota Johnson is character is just able to like step in and so expertly extract what the real problem is and what, why this woman is actually marrying this man. And it's
Mhm.
not because she loves him, plot twist. Like she does, but that's not what she says. What she says is, I love that he makes my sister jealous of me. And I just that line, like that delivery, everything has just stuck with me from that movie. It's Celine Song's follow up to Past Lives, which I did like Past Lives a lot. I did think it felt more like a play, but Celine Song is a playwright, so we
Mhm.
expect that. Um, but I mean, I don't think Materialist is perfect. I have my quibbles, but I do find myself thinking about it the most of a lot of movies
Mm.
this year. The Pedro Pascal leg extension bit, A plus, top tier. The when he like gets down on his knees and is like, "Would you have dated me if I was this tall?" And she's like, "No." I was like, "I feel that. I feel that, girl." And who swoops in to sweep her off her feet but very tall Chris Evans. Naturally tall Chris Evans. And
Yeah.
also, yeah, what can I say? I have a soft spot in my heart for like fail sons from Boston. I love them. I went to Emerson College. I just want to take them all under my wing and just, you know,
Oh
just
boy.
be like, it's okay, buddy.
Oh my god, that's yeah, I mean, Chris Evans is definitely the hottest he's been in a long time in that movie, for sure.
Yeah. Is it bad that the past like two times that I've been like, wow, this man is very attractive, it's been Chris Evans? I feel like that's bad for me. I feel like it's basic of me.
It's
Oof.
I don't know, I mean, his star's been kind of fading a little bit after a series of bad choices, bad film
Well,
choices.
you can tell that he's made those choices because we don't have a trailer talk scheduled in here, but
He's
I
back.
think I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that the Avengers Endgame, no, the Avengers
Doomsday.
Doomsday trailers are being released 1 week at a time. And the first one to be released, the one that was in front of my Avatar screening, was the Chris Evans one. And I think, I don't know, I don't follow these rumors very much, but I think it was pretty heavily rumored that he was already in this movie.
Yeah,
So it's just a confirmation, right?
it was basically heavily reported but never officially confirmed that he was returning for Avengers Doomsday, but in an unnamed role. And kind of in my, when I was at New Rockstars, we kind of speculated on a bunch of different characters he could be. So to have him returning back as Captain America feels pretty not great, and I really love Captain America in the MCU. I think that is how I know that character. I don't have a huge
He's a
familiarity
great
of him
character.
in the comics. He's great. I love Chris Evans as Captain America, and I love Captain America's whole journey through those movies, right? And I've said this on the podcast before, but the way he sticks and is committed to his vision of the world, and he never wavers, and it's kind of noble to see how a character like that then has to deal with the repercussions of that. And he makes the choice at the end of Avengers Endgame, which, spoiler for a 20-year franchise if you haven't seen it, he just has to make a selfish choice finally and do something for himself and stay with the person he loves because he's put everything else on the line for it. And that ending gets me every time. I love it so much. So to have him come back is like, I don't think it's I don't think it's doing what the Russos think it's doing as it currently stands, right? I'll be
Well,
happy to be proven wrong. I will say, when right now it's a very popular thing in movies to do this exciting hype trailer
mm,
after the kind of all the theater pre-roll stuff is over. And as the trailer stuff was winding down, I had a guy in the audience yell, "Where's the Avengers trailer?" And then the Avengers trailer played. It's the Chris Evans one. Obviously, there's a few more that have been released. I think 2 or 3 now that are out at the time of recording.
yeah.
Chris Evans one is released, plays, dead silent. Absolutely dead silent. No clapping. This is
Yeah.
opening night of
It
Avatar Fire and Ash. You think
it
that
was
there's a
silent in my
probably
theater too.
a heavy overlap, right, between Avatar
Yeah.
fans and MCU fans. And yeah,
Yeah.
that
It
was
was
tough.
quiet.
Really tough.
There were no reactions in my theater either. And I was just
Yeah.
like, and my reaction was just like, oh, I guess he is back. And also, he just had a baby in real life too. And, private school is expensive.
You think that's his baby? His real baby?
I don't think so, because I think his baby is like new. I think like
Mm.
only a few weeks old.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Probably would not have been alive or even conceived at the time of Endgame of
Yeah,
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep calling it Endgame for.
I mean, might as well, right?
It's like
Endgame 2.
it's Endgame 2, isn't it?
Yeah, probably
Or
at
I
this
guess
point.
isn't this one's more like Infinity War 2? Because I'm
Yes.
sure that Doctor Doom will win in this one. And then Secret Wars will come out and they'll have another one of those
I
moments where
know.
everybody's on the field and there'll be a girl boss moment again, with Captain Marvel and another ridiculous haircut, and it'll take over the internet again.
I don't know anymore. I'm so sad. I really love those movies, and now I'm just like, oh man, this is tough.
I could see I just bummed you out like in real time.
Yeah, that's rough.
But I mean,
Uh
that was part of our movie going experience. Evan, how did you see Avatar Fire and Ash?
Yeah, I saw it in Dolby Cinema 3D. This is what James Cameron has been recommending to people. Obviously, IMAX 3D is a bigger thing. If you're on the IMAX subreddits and you're wondering which is the better way to watch the movie, although it may be too late now to watch in Dolby versus IMAX based on some of the newer things that have come out, I think you probably still see it in
Is there
IMAX 3D
something
at the
in it?
very least. Um, what came
Oh
out
my
on
god.
Christmas? Well, Marty
Is Song
Supreme,
Sung Blue in the Dolby
Sung
room?
Sung Blue, Anaconda. What was the third movie that came out on Christmas Day? Handmaiden. No,
Oh my god.
the Sydney Sweeney movie.
Oh my god, The Housemaid. Get it right.
Housemaid.
Handmaiden
Yeah.
is a much different
Something
movie
else.
than
Yeah.
that.
It's the South
But
Korean movie.
I don't think The
Um,
Housemaid is playing in the Dolby room, but that's
yeah.
just a wild guess. Um,
But anyways,
no disrespect to Paul Feig. We love Bridesmaids on this pod. But I actually, yes, I saw it also in Dolby 3D at the screening right before you.
that's right. Yeah.
Uh, on I think it was probably the first screening of the day because I went in the afternoon,
Hmm.
and I felt like I was with the true Pandora heads, the people who needed to see it at that first screening, not just for scheduling reasons like myself, but
Right,
because
right.
they've been waiting for like a long time.
Yeah, they're the ones
Um,
who are checking off watch one of See It 5 times, you know?
oh my god! But it was a pretty packed crowd for a 3 o'clock show on a Thursday. But I don't think many people seemed excited, which I did note. Like there weren't people like obviously it's not quite the same as something like Wicked, but there were nobody was dressed up, nobody was like,
Yeah.
talking about it or anticipating it. Like I feel like even when I went to see Wicked for Good, like there were people really excited to see that movie,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's harder to dress up for in a sense, right? Like, what do you do? Do you like get yourself like do you paint yourself blue? Do you like you don't want
Yeah.
to do the dreadlocks?
Ooh,
Like,
that would be a tough hang.
yeah, I the best you can do is you have the flying guys, the popcorn bucket is one the
Ooh.
ikrans, that's what they're called. You could
Or
do a braid, you could do the braid, the plug-in braid.
oh, or you could just get one of these when you walk in the door.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
This I don't know what these are intended for. This is like the fourth movie to give me one of these this year when I go to see it, and I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with these.
I feel like it's lazy. It feels like it's something that they had left over from the red carpet that they just want to give to people, but it says AMC on it, so it wouldn't be left over from that.
It
I don't
says
know.
it says Dolby Cinema at AMC. Like it's a plug for Dolby.
Yeah.
But
That's so odd. Dolby team, I don't know, maybe rethink this one a little bit.
yeah.
Oh, that being said, sorry, I want to close the loop on the thought I introduced before. If you're curious, like IMAX versus Dolby, right? When you hear like James Cameron has been saying watch it in Dolby 3D, but of course it's IMAX 3D. I feel like Gabby and I we grew up with IMAX 3D as a big thing.
Mhm.
All right, Evan from the future here, just jumping in to say that when Gabby and I recorded the episode, I kind of had my words flipped, so I just wanted to clarify. If you are doing some research into, checking out films on IMAX, going to the IMAX subreddit is the best place to see lots of people who are just seeing this movie around the world and giving their feedback. And when it comes to movies like Avatar Fire and Ash, where you can see it in both Dolby 3D and IMAX 3D, there's been a lot of discussion on the subreddits. It seems like the general consensus is that the visuals of the Dolby have been appealing to a lot more people. There's richer colors, there's more contrast. The downside of the Dolby, in a sense, is that the glasses are a little bit smaller and they're harder for people who are glasses wearers like me and Gabby. And you're going to hear us talk about our struggles with that in a second. With IMAX 3D, obviously the screens on IMAX, if you're lucky, are going to be way bigger than Dolby screens, and the glasses are much lighter, they're much thinner, more what Gabby and I were used to growing up. So that's kind of the difference between IMAX and Dolby. The experiences, if I'm lucky enough to get another chance to see this in IMAX 3D, I'll probably go and check out the movie there just to see for myself and report back. All right, back to me and Gabby in the past.
Because I don't know about you, Gabby. Were you seeing some kind of like color fringing maybe on the with the 3D glasses, like kind of purple edges and stuff like that?
Yeah, I had a big problem with the glasses, but I think it's just because I wear very large frames.
Mm.
So I put rested them over the top of my glasses, but there was still like this part of my glasses were not covered. So
Uh-huh.
I had to be looking straight at the screen the whole time because if I looked down, it was just not it was not good. I was getting dizzy.
Oh no. Yeah. Well, I mean, we both saw it in 3D. Really feel like 3D is like the way to see these movies, especially with James Cameron's decision to do a lot of mixed and high frame rates in this one, more than he did in Way of Water. I haven't seen Way of Water on a home release, so I don't know how that mixed frame rate stuff will play out. But there's definitely some interesting stuff going on. It might not always work, and some of that feels like maybe the projectors aren't strong enough, but some of it may just feel like it's just a difference of choice. I feel very strongly that 3D is a great way to see these movies. I was a little bit like, whoa, I'm dizzy to begin with, but then like,
Yeah.
15 minutes in, I was like, no, I'm in. Here we go.
I am
We are
in
another
Pandora.
dimension. I've landed.
I am in Pandora, Evan. Right now, that's what my background is. So let's jump in. Let's jump right into Fire and Ash. What?
Okay, wait. I need to get ready for Pandora too. 1 second.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting this part of the pot. Oh my god. I thought we banned these. Aren't these like a fire hazard? For those of you not watching the feed, Evan has just pulled on a Na'Vi blue Snuggie.
I'm in a Snuggie to talk about Na'Vi.
It's like the right color blue, though. Do you think that was done on purpose?
It was, yeah, it all came out around the same time. I think blue was pretty...
Blue was in.
Blue was big. Blue was in,
because of Na'Vi blue.
Obama was about to get elected.
Blue wave right there.
But yeah.
Oh my god. Well, now that you're suited up, let's dive into Avatar, Fire and Ash. The third film in the Avatar franchise, followed by Avatar, the original, Avatar, The Way of Water, and now we are here with another element, Fire and Ash. It was released December 19th, 2025, directed by James Cameron, written by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. Story by Cameron, Jaffa Silver, Josh Friedman, and Shane Salerno. Produced by Cameron and the late John Landau. Starring an ensemble cast of Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Oona Chaplin, Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Edie Falco, David Thewlis for one scene, Jermaine Clement, Giovanni Ribisi for 2 scenes, Joel David Moore, Britton Dalton, and Jack Champion as Spider.
Huge cast, lots of people, and that, you know, if they're not portrayed as humans, as Na'Vi, it's very interesting, especially some of these newer actors. You're like, whoa, they just are what they
I have
are.
no idea what Oona Chaplin looks like. I just think she is Varang.
Yeah.
She's Varang in her everyday life. I don't care if you're Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter. I know that you are Varang.
And she loves flamethrowers.
Ooh, she loves fire. I love it.
Well, Avatar Fire and Ash, if you're new to the franchise, as Gabby said, it continues the story of the Sully family. They are, slight spoilers for the franchise, mourning the loss of their oldest son, and they face a new clan known as the Ash people, who do not worship Awa, the kind of mother spirit that we have come to believe is like the governing force of a sense of this world for the Na'vi people. And humans are continuing to try to colonize Pandora, and we are faced again with another Na'vi and human conflict.
Yes, as they are referred to in this film by the Na'vi, the pink people, sky people, or pink people is what they're called. Interesting. I don't think they would like to be called the blue people to their faces, so I'm just saying. I'm not to get on my like human high horse, but pink people, all right. Hit me with something better.
It's yeah.
It also only works for some of us. We're not all pink.
Well, I think they probably were trying to find a like what is the color that could most commonly, I don't know, and you like maybe you look at the back
of flesh color. I guess is pink, but
yeah.
Whatever.
Gabby, what did you think of Avatar Fire and Ash?
It was a time in the movies. It was 3.5 hours in the movies, which is famously my favorite place to be. So I'm never having a bad time at the movies. But
It's so funny to like think it's
but
like how convincing is that just as audio versus audio and video?
I know if you're not looking at my face, it's like it sounds really cold. um okay. I didn't hate it. I thought that the first act of it was very interesting actually. Like I was
Yeah.
pretty sucked in from the first 15 minutes. I felt like they were doing something new with the kind of actual like sky Na'vi.
Mm-hmm.
Um the played by
The
David Thewlis for one scene.
yeah, the wind traders, right? I believe it's the
Yes.
trading clan. Yeah.
Yes, they agree to transport Spider someplace else. Um
Back to Neytiri's village.
yes, so someplace away from the family because he's too much drama, I guess. Because
Yeah.
he can't breathe their air, so he's drama and he has to go.
I mean, that
But
is a real thing. Like, why would you not bring rechargeable batteries if you're Spider and you know you're going to go? Oh no, he snuck on their ship right when they went in Way of Water. I
no,
don't think he's
I
supposed to
don't
be
know.
there.
I
I
don't
don't think he's
know.
supposed to be there.
I have no idea, but
I can't. Yeah, I can't remember how Spider even got to the water place.
I don't remember, but it's fine. Nobody likes Spider, but especially Neytiri. Neytiri cannot stand this bitch.
Yeah.
And she's kind of behind the push of getting him somewhere else. But the Wind Traders play a pivotal role in that, and I thought that action sequence, was really well done and really exciting,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of like pumped me up for the movie. Like the whole sequence of the falling out of the sky and fighting the introduction of the ash people in that sequence was
Mm-hmm.
really exciting, and
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, so we're going to go on a journey and we're going to follow these ash people the whole time. It's going to be the Sully family versus the ash people or something, and it's not really that.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be, but at the same time, the more the movie went on, the more it kind of felt repetitive to me of The Way of Water. Like we're just kind of rehashing a lot of family structure and a lot of, the surviving son of Jake and Neytiri feeling guilty and feeling like he's
Loak.
not, yes, Loak feeling like he's not good enough. That one really bad whale that they have that's always being
Pyacon.
banished. Pyacon, he can't catch a
This is
break.
off the dome too. This is it's not even. I'm not
Wow.
looking at the list.
The bad whale, that's what I call him in my head. But I know he's innocent, but I just like to think of him as like, ooh, that whale is bad news. And they
Yeah.
just keep sending him away. But yeah, he gets banished again. Like I'm like, so we're just rehashing a lot. And it just felt like, okay, this feels like Way of Water Part 2 and not like a whole new story or a whole new adventure. And I was just kind of let down by that. I think that the visuals are stunning as usual. Like going to see this movie truly makes you wonder how any of our CGI garbage movies can come out looking the way that they do when this technology exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very expensive and very time consuming, but still, I was very taken with Varang. I wish that there was more of Varang. I do. I wanted more of my girl. She was the most interesting person in this movie. I did absolutely like belly laugh, cackle at the scene where, like, towards the end, where Quaritch, who has, like, spoiler, started hooking up with Virang. Like, they're a couple now, they're an item, and they arrive to the military base, and he just starts dressing like her. And he's like all made up as an Ash person, and I
Yeah,
was
that was
losing
wild.
my shit. I was
He
losing it,
walks
Evan.
out and he's all red. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I was losing it. I was like, oh damn. But I don't know. I just found it a little bit disappointing in terms of story.
Yeah, we definitely dive into that a little bit more too. I guess for me, similarly, I also that scene where the wind traders are attacked. That scene is what fully pulled me into the movie because I think I was having a hard time obviously the 3D is going on, but there's a lot of voiceover in this movie. Loak, the Sully's son, is doing a lot of voiceover that brings you through this movie, and they're trying to catch you up on a lot of things. Again, there's a lot of characters, obviously a huge cast, and so Loak is trying to explain these things that are happening, and it is kind of like a whirlwind, and suddenly you do find yourself realizing that the movie feels very like plot oriented, in a sense where that the screenwriters are dictating what's happening, not like the characters, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'm never like a huge fan of describing things that way personally, but in this sense it really felt like after the Wind Traders attack, there's a moment where Quaritch, who the big bad, right, is able to capture Jake Sully.
Mhm.
And for some reason, neither of them decide to kill each other in that moment and
Spider, because
put
of
their differences aside
Spider.
for Spider, which I just have a hard time buying how they got to that point.
I have a hard time buying all of the Spider of it all, if we're being honest. And Spider is a huge, huge fulcrum of this movie. He is the MacGuffin of the movie. Like, he's a
Yeah,
human
yeah.
being,
He's
and
the Rosebud.
he is. And I'm like, I feel like this movie does not work in large part because I just am not invested in that character and I'm not compelled by that
Yeah.
performance.
Spider's a little tough. So that being said, once I realized this movie was not going to be some earth-shattering story, and I had already heard from critics or from, just on the internet, that this was going to be a slight rehash of Way of Water or the first movie, and I believe James Cameron has said that both this movie and Way of Water were written at the same time, and then it was decided that it was going to be broken up into two different movies.
That
Um,
makes a lot of sense.
Once I kind of accepted all those things and the Wind Trader scene happened, and I saw them decide to put their differences away for Spider, I was like, you know what? We're gonna turn the story brain off, and we're just gonna just have the fun brain just put it into overdrive. And me and the dude sitting next to me were both there by ourselves, and we were having a blast.
Okay.
I had so much fun during this movie. All the Varang stuff was incredible.
I
All
love
of the
her.
fight scenes were so well paced. I like caught myself audibly just go like, oh, 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 and like dipping and diving as you're flying on the Ikrin through the sky. I had so much fun during this movie that when I walked out, I really believe that I was like, see it 5 times might be a thing. It might happen. Not for me at this point. Like, if it was not the holidays, I don't know if I would have gone out again, honestly. But I do think that there are people seeing this movie. I'm seeing it on the internet like 2 or 3 times, and
That's
having a
crazy.
blast. It
I
is a
mean,
long movie. Did you
yeah.
ever get up throughout it? I got up
No,
once.
I did
Okay.
not. I stayed
Um,
strong. But
yeah, yeah.
you texted me when this movie was over and you were like, this is maybe my favorite one of the three. And I was like, you get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you talking about? What are
This
you
movie
talking
has
about?
everything.
It
Everything you
does. It
think.
does have everything. But is
Literally,
that good?
the only thing that doesn't happen in this movie is a wedding. Like, pretty much, like, almost everything else that
That's
you can
true. There's
think of
childbirth,
happens. Childbirth, there's, effect no,
some
this is not
deaths.
there's deaths, this is not a fun thing, but there is effectively assault, like, Varang
Yes.
assaults people.
Uh-huh. Yep.
You can view it as, like, a sexual assault in a sense, and,
Yeah. Some kind
um,
of intimacy is being breached
yeah, it just
via
it's
their hair
crazy.
tails.
Yeah, they everything happens in this movie.
Absolutely
Um,
everything.
is it a good
But
thing? I don't know. It's my maybe too much movie.
there's also a whale council, like a Senate committee of
Yeah.
whales, in case anyone was wanting that.
Neytiri does the what is it? The Death Star run.
Oh,
She
yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
that I've seen it described as that, but she does that crazy like fight against the fort, that like just bombing it, which is wild. Um I don't
She's
know.
crazy
It
for that.
was
She's crazy for
so
everything
much.
she does in these
Oh,
movies.
and Sully, Jake's okay, so this is full spoilerville at this point. I mean, we've already
Spoiler
like
Bill.
touched on some of this stuff. Um, but Jake Sully almost kills Spider. He like very nearly decides to kill Spider, someone who he views as his own son.
I pull the trigger, man. Like, do us all a favor, Jake.
He goes, Jake, do you still love me? And he goes, with all my heart, son. Oh my God.
I know. And then Spider's like, okay, do it. And I'm like, finally, something's going to happen in this movie. Because honestly, I was not convinced that Spider was going to die. Like earlier in the movie when he doesn't have his mask, he can't breathe, and they're like racing to get his mask in the aftermath of the sequence with the wind traders, not the air traders. Too close. And then Kiri does this strange witchcraft over him, and he just suddenly can breathe the air. Like, and
miracles.
He's made into like essentially a Na'Vi. Like he even has one of the braids, the tail like growing out of his head. Like he has one that he can now connect with. He's essentially a pink Na'Vi. That's what he is. So he becomes the MacGuffin of the movie, because it becomes very apparent that if the Sky people get a hold of him and Quaritch gets a hold of him, they are going to like test on him and find out how they can make other humans able to breathe this air. Like it's dangerous, and that's why Jake and Neytiri are like, unfortunately, we have to kill him. And I kind of agree. I'm like, okay, yeah, to protect the family, let's get some Shakespearean stakes in here. Let's get biblical. A father sacrificing his son. Like, I was seated. I was ready for that moment. And then it was just like, it was nothing. It was a nothing moment.
Time and time again, Jake Sully decides not to. He decides to be Captain America, and he says, you know what? Screw the greater good. I'm going to make it work somehow. I'm going to have a billion other people die.
The guy that's like in the first 5 minutes of this movie, he's like, everyone needs to be carrying an assault rifle at all times, is like, can't kill this one kid that could end our salvation here on Pandora. Oh my God.
So
I don't know.
Goofy.
I get it's his son, sort of, but yeah. I was like, finally, we're going to get some stakes here, and we don't.
Neytiri could literally kill Spider at any time, and for some reason she chooses not to, and then she finally decides not to kill Spider and say
I didn't buy that either. I was like, what is that turn?
Yeah. I didn't make any sense. That's what I'm saying. It's all plot motivated. Like, Spider has saved Jake's life multiple times. If that's the only criteria,
so why this time does it make her jump to Spider is my son now? Like,
if anything, you know what could have happened that would have been interesting? If Awa, talking as if I'm in this world, if Awa had sent her a sign in that moment that he is now part of the world, and that now this world, Pandora, has accepted Spider, who is effectively her adopted son, as a quote unquote native son of the planet, of the moon. It's not even a planet; it's a moon.
It's a moon. Oh my God,
Pandora's a moon. Yeah,
I didn't know that, but until right now. But yeah, I think that would have been more compelling to me, because Neytiri is a character that is so driven by her culture and her roots, and there's a whole conversation in this movie between her and Jake where he asks her like, oh, well, do you love our children less because they're part, they come from me and I was human, and like they have 5 fingers. Do you hate them? Mm-hmm. Like, do you hate that part of your own children? And I thought that was a compelling scene. Mm-hmm. But to have her just do a complete 180 after, Spider saves Jake from his imprisonment, but he's done that before. So I'm like, what about this time is different? So I don't know. I just thought that was the movie's big opportunity to give this story more stakes, and it didn't. But I don't know. I guess I had not rewatched any of the Avatars, but were you aware, certified Pandora expert that you are, that Jake is like public enemy number one. I don't think that I realized that. And then they capture him and they take him to this military base, and he's literally in an orange jumpsuit. And
Yeah.
people are like flashing pictures, and they're like, this traitor has been captured. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What did he do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because I'd have to like sit down and look at the time jump in between 1 and 3, like how many years have passed. But like effectively, Jake Sully did end whatever like mining effort they had at that place in 1. Like it was, you can pin the blame on Jake Sully for inciting the Na'Vi to take up arms against the humans. And then they did it again in against the whales, and Quaritch now as a Na'vi is sent to like stop him, and it becomes like a disaster, like that.
Yeah, but
But
there's
so,
another interesting narrative point that they could have played with, that they hint at, is that Quaritch is becoming more and more Na'vi every day,
mhm,
and now he is like loyal to the Ash people, and he has, taken a lover,
yeah,
a mythical Ash witch, um, who gives him Na'vi ayahuasca. But like Jake makes that point that you're becoming more of a Na'vi every day. Like, what is your allegiance still to the military, to these people that are against you, essentially? And that's a really compelling, interesting question. And then it
mhm.
just never gets discussed again. Like, okay.
Yeah, as well as the other level of it, which is that he is not even Miles Quaritch anymore.
Mm-mm.
He has memories implanted into a new physical body. He has the
Right.
opportunity to become someone wholly new. And he chooses not to until a point, right? Yeah, this I think you're right. Like, right, this is the problem with a movie that does have everything, is that even in a runtime such as this, in order to have any type of narrative payoff, it doesn't have the room, or it doesn't give itself the room to explore these more interesting threads, right? And at the end of the day, it's also a major blockbuster movie. Like, this movie has to deliver, or should deliver on a certain monetary success, and maybe some of these like more headier themes are not going to be things that really make it through. That's not
I
always
mean,
the case, but,
but
just to
hey, I
whatever.
think I truly believe that we have like dumbed down blockbusters. Like, but like I think that like that expectation, and somebody like James Cameron is the person that, if any of our big name directors, to introduce big themes like that into a movie that he knows everyone is going to see.
Yeah,
So,
1000%.
to me,
T2, we
that's,
watched that earlier this
we
year.
did.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the first Cameron we've covered. He's a master filmmaker. He's
Mhm.
chosen to make this series of films that I don't love, but I think have an opportunity to do things that are interesting. And I just find it like narratively irresponsible not to ask the or to explore these things in a world that he has so meticulously created, you know?
I think it's because maybe to him, the themes that are more interesting are the ones that are more obviously on in the text, right? Which is like, it's anti-colonial, it's very, what's the right word for this? Eco-conscious, right? A
It
very
is.
ecological film. And so those two themes I think are at the heart of this story, right? I mean, I think back when the first Avatar came out, there James Cameron was potentially sued or had to defend the Avatar stories in court to say he didn't steal them. Obviously, there's a lot of
Oh.
comparisons to other movies when it comes to Avatar, like Pocahontas. And he had this great quote where he said, Avatar is a science fiction retelling of the history of North and South America in the early colonial period. Avatar very pointedly made reference to the colonial period in the Americas with all its conflict and bloodshed between the military aggressors from Europe and the indigenous peoples. Europe equals Earth. The Native Americans are the Na'vi. It's not meant to be subtle. That's a James Cameron quote in 2012, right? And so with that as the through line, we can see that like that is important, and like the idea that like people must in order to kind of defend your homeland and the beliefs that you have, there is an element in which he believes that you need to change your approach in order to preserve what is important. And we see
Yeah.
that happen in other ways too, right? The Jermaine Clement character is a biologist who decides to betray the humans at the last moment, help Jake Sully get freed because he realizes like I'm here in Pandora because I want to study the Tolkien. I want to study these space whales.
Right. I mean, I
And
didn't sign up to kill all these like
yes.
families of whales in the process. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I think that the reason why these movies ultimately work is because they are not subtle. It's because
Yes.
they just like, it is explicit that like Cameron has taken a side and his side is the Na'vi. Like he
Hmm.
is telling the story of like the righteous and the underdogs, the people who are, who normally the movie would not be about, right? Like
Hmm.
normally the movie might be about the military presence or like a soldier, just the way that the first movie was about Jake Sully as a soldier, not as a Na'vi. But
Hmm.
James Cameron has gone on this odyssey for a reason. And I think that he has always known what side he was going to be on and that he wants us to be on that side too. I think that he wants us to walk out of the film and recognize that we should be on that side in the real world and
Hmm.
like recognize some of the ugliness in ourselves that we see in the human characters in the Avatar
Hmm.
franchise. Like they're all like caricature villains. Like they are
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
not subtle at all. Giovanni Ribisi is like a little slime. And
Yeah.
like none of them are good people. He doesn't try to make them good people for a hot second. And I think the problem is that because these movies don't really seem to stick culturally, like after they come out and make billions and billions of dollars, like in the consciousness, those lessons also do not stick, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that's also a good segue into something about like there's this constant theme too, right, around when these movies come out that Avatar has no cultural footprint. That is a refrain you hear. You heard it way at water. You're hearing it again now. These movies don't have a cultural footprint. Yet they somehow still make so much money. I
Mm-hmm.
think to your point, Gabby, it's about this stickiness, right? It's about this idea that this or the lack of rather that these movies don't have um legs outside of the window that they're released, right? I don't think I would love to talk to someone maybe who was in like elementary school when the first Avatar came out and ask them like, "Okay, what do you think about of that movie? And is that a movie that you are like not that this happens all the time because people watch TikTok now, but like who's going like on a Saturday in April, "Hey man, should we just put on the Avatar movie or should we put on Way of
Oh,
Water and
that's
watch
the
it?"
thing. No one. And I do think that had this conversation with somebody off mic recently about this topic. And my theory is that it's kind of a victim of its own success where
Mhm.
like the visuals are so stunning, the world is so immersive that you want to experience it in 3D in a theater. That every time that Avatar has been re-released in theaters, the original Avatar, it makes more and more and more money because
Yeah.
people like it. They will go see it, but I do think that the reason why it has not stuck is because those things just don't translate as well on your TV at home, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel the same way as putting on a pair of 3D glasses and going to the theater, going to this world. It's not, it loses some sort of the mystique around it. So I think that because people are not sitting around like throwing on the Avatar movies the way that they're throwing on Star Wars or throwing on Avengers, it does lose a little bit of currency in that way, even though it's made. And I believe this is ridiculous, but over $6 billion to date as a franchise. Um, as of the time of recording, that's billion with a B.
That's crazy. And
Isn't
and
that
also
insane?
I mean, also when we see those headlines too, I think it's worth questioning like do they mean like they just mean the theatrical movies, right? They don't mean like the broader like the
No, I
we
think it's
talked about
just
the
box office.
okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Um,
definitely made more. There's a Na'Vi theme park in Disneyland,
right,
but
exactly.
like it's definitely a big cash cow. James Cameron was recently named a billionaire by Forbes in part because in part he's has many successful films, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that the Avatar franchise is a big bolster to that billionaire status, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, so I think you're right. I mean, I will say I'd be curious to watch because I did rewatch the first Avatar on a TV. I had before Way of Water, and I actually was quite entertained and was surprised I was. But it was the first time I revisited that movie in 10 years, you know?
Right.
And so with Way of Water, I've saw it twice in theaters, and that second watch was brutal. But I loved the first watch. I thought the last hour of that was so entertaining. And with Fire and Ash, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it will or if it will hold up on a home viewing. Because I actually do want to see it again because of how much random stuff happens in this
I
and
mean,
how exciting the action scenes are. Like we talked about to circle back on some of the like repetition stuff, right, of the movie. The last hour of Way of Water is very similar to the last hour of Fire and Ash in that they're
mhm,
both during the eclipse and they're
yep.
on a very similar ship and
Still in the water. I'm not
it
seeing
looks
enough.
the same.
You know what? I'm going to say it. There's not enough fire or ash in this movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I needed more fire, more ash, and more Varang. We see her like every time that we saw her with one of those like flamethrowers or like using a machine gun for the
Mhm.
first time. I was alive. I was electrified. I was like, let me see this woman go to war.
It is interesting because I do think Una Chaplin and Zoe Saldana both are the best performers in this movie franchise, right? They
Absolutely.
feel like um that feels like they've committed the most to the characters. But is it because these characters are like also like action badass women or like I don't
I don't know.
like
I think that maybe it's more that way for Una Chaplin. This is her first appearance
sure,
in the
yeah.
films. I'm sure she'll be back. But I hope she's back. Otherwise, they're losing me. They're losing. But but Neytiri as a character, Zoe Saldana has been giving her all to that performance for like many years.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic actress, an Academy Award winning actress, unfortunately for the wrong role. But, she probably should have won for an Avatar movie. Like, she's really like
Yeah.
giving it her best while wearing like layers and layers of like digital makeup, essentially.
Mhm.
Like, not knowing how her face is actually going to look in the edit and everything, how her emotions are being portrayed. And just there's so much in her voice in these movies that I find really powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think these movies, particularly 2 and 3, give her enough to do. Like they just kind of make her
Yeah.
into that badass mama bear.
Yeah.
Like,
Two
ooh, my
especially
kids are in danger.
I
Ooh,
think
I better deliver Kate Winslet's baby before she dies.
oh, yeah. Oh my god. I forgot about that. I mean, we
Oh my
even mentioned the
god.
childbirth thing, but I did forget
Yeah.
how much of a role she had to play Neytiri has to play in that. Oh my
Oh my
god.
god. I came home and I told my fiance, she was like, who died in the movie? Anybody? And I was like, Kate Winslet. And she goes, Kate Winslet's in these movies? What the
And Kate Winslet is the one this is a Way of Water critique, but it does feel like the most like, yeah, maybe don't cast a white person in this role type
A little
role.
bit. A little bit. I would be very interested to hear from some native people about what they think of
Yeah.
these movies.
That's true. It's a good
Um
point. Yeah.
I feel like,
I
yeah,
think they're
I've heard
quite
a lot of, critics and like white people discuss these movies.
yeah.
I would be interested to hear more, yeah, native people and people of color talk about how they feel about these movies. Maybe they feel, a certain way towards them. Maybe they're positive. Maybe they feel like they see some
Yeah.
part of them in these characters. I don't know. But I think it's worth it to, listen to those voices as much as we listen to the Sullys.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I guess On the performances though, yeah, to highlight, I mean, Oona Chaplin as Varang, I think is the kind of show stealer. I do think a lot of people on the internet are admitting Varang is hot,
She
and
is.
it's
And
yeah.
my favorite meme so far is the one where she has the flamethrower and she's like looking at it in awe, and Quaritch is behind her, and someone just put, this is a picture of every like MAGA husband with his Filipino wife. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
A plus, A
Yep.
plus.
A
That's it.
plus.
Nailed
It's the
it.
vibe. Exactly the vibe.
Nailed it.
Well, you mentioned if Varang doesn't come back, you're out.
Mhm.
What is the future of the franchise? You know, James Cameron has said that there'll be a fourth and fifth film, but I think it's a little bit contingent on the success of
Oh,
this. I think he might be feeling a little burnt out. What do you think, Gabby?
more importantly, Evan, James Cameron is threatening to hold a press conference to disclose the details of Avatar 4 and 5 if Avatar 3 doesn't make enough money, which is a crazy thing that you would only say when you know that your movie is going to make enough money to get you a fourth and fifth movie, in my opinion. But
He like doesn't care. He's just
I
like
read
so
that
down.
headline and I was cracking up. I was like, oh, Jim, you did it again. But I think, I mean, there's kind of like some open knowledge about the future of the franchise out there. Sigourney Weaver kind of, I don't know if she was supposed to say this, spilled that she is the narrator of the next film. James Cameron has said that the next film has a little bit of a time jump and that it would be
Yeah.
a
8-year time skip.
considered a different kind of era in Avatar franchise, which I felt was interesting because I know he has gone on record and said that he feels like 1, 2, and 3 are like a complete picture. I didn't really get a sense of closure from this movie at all, but like it felt like, okay, until we meet again on Pandora. But maybe
Yeah.
that's just because I'm like very cynical and conditioned to be like, okay, see you in 5 years, Jim.
I think it's also like how much do you buy Quaritch's death, which
Oh,
is
not at all.
one
I
also
know.
terrible. Why did he throw himself off like that? Absolutely terrible.
I'm gonna place a bet right now. Are you ready?
Let's
This
go.
is a $10 USD bet.
Okay.
In Avatar 4, there's gonna be a scene where we see that Quaritch like threw himself off that little leaf, rock, whatever he
Mhm.
was on, and Virang on her
Her
flying
Ikrin.
her Ikrin flies and catches him, and ooh, he's alive. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. She's gonna swoop right in, save him. They're gonna go back to her hut, do some more drugs for 8 years.
I like that idea a lot.
I'm
My
just very cynical like about it. I was like, he's not dead.
my pitch is that he is not dead, but they will have cloned a new Miles Quaritch, and there will be a face off
Ooh,
of old Quaritch and young Quaritch and
Quaritch versus
Na'Vi.
Quaritch.
Yeah, and Na'Vi bodies.
I
Just like the
mean,
end of Logan with two Wolverines
that would
fighting
be
each other.
funny, or the end of
Yeah.
Superman.
Or the end
But
of Superman.
that would be fun. I do think that Stephen Lang is like the MVP of these movies, actually. Like I just think he's the person consistently through all three movies that like this guy knows what movie he's in, you know?
True. Yeah.
He's
He balances the
committed, he
tone really
knows
well.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll follow him. I will follow him off that cliff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that you note that Cameron is seeming a little bit burnt out and kind of openly speaking about other projects that he wants to do that are not in the Avatar world.
Yeah. The
And
Hiroshima movie, right?
yes. And also at the same time noting that some footage for Avatar 4 has already been shot. So I don't know. I feel like he's kind of soft launching the idea that he won't be directing the next Avatar movies, that maybe he's going to do some other projects and, you know, pass the torch to somebody else. But I don't know. You know, he's already filmed footage for 4, so does that mean he's going to shoot the rest of 4, or he's just going to hand over what he's done already and be like, enjoy?
B unit director James Cameron. Yeah,
Never.
I guess we'll have to see.
Well, at the very least, it'll be a while. I mean, it's not quite, I don't think it's going to be the same turnaround as it was, 3 years between these movies. Because I think they said they've only shot maybe like a quarter of the movie. So,
Yeah, but it certainly
it's going
won't
to be
be
a while.
12 because
No.
I do think that a lot of the gap between 1 and 2 just had to do with the technology just not being there. And
Yeah.
now I think that he and his team have a system of just creating new tech or like know how to like move into this world in a much more efficient way.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we'll be back on Pandora in, ooh, I want to say 2029. It would be my guess. Me and you back in Pandora 2029. Mark my
I
words.
I love the moon. We'll do this podcast from the Earth's moon
Oh.
about the moon on Pandora. Or the moon that is Pandora rather. Um
only if you perform a spiritual procedure on me to let me breathe the air up there naturally.
oh, it's space air.
Space
Well,
air.
one thing we didn't really talk about too much is Spider and maybe the spider of it all of this movie as far as like him as a actual character. And I think that's a good segue and we can talk about him a little bit more as we get into our next film, The Last of the Mohicans. We'll be right back. We're back to talk about the Last of the Mohicans, released September 25th, 1992. This is directed by Michael Mann, written by Mann and Christopher Crowe, adapted from the novel The Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper, produced by Michael Mann and Hunt Lowry, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Madeline Stowe, Russell Means, Wes Studi, and Jodie May. And Eric Schweig as Uncas. Eric Schweig most recently in One Battle
Mm.
After Another as Avanti Q.
Oh.
As well as Stephen Waddington, Major Duncan Hayward. Yeah, this is my first time watching this movie. I don't think I really had a relationship with it. I actually didn't know it was based off a book. I always knew about the title though, and now like thinking about it, it must have been
Makes
that the
more
book
sense.
was just kind of more around than maybe then and we're both born in the early 90s, so this
Speak
movie
for
obviously.
yourself. I'm a mid 90s girl.
Yeah, I was trying to give us a benefit of that. I was like, wait, no, I should have gone the other way. Yeah. Yeah. We're both born in the mid 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah Hill's mid 90s.
Famously, the mid 90s of Jonah Hill.
And so that's another reason, right? This movie came in 92. Obviously, I think a pretty big hit as well.
Huge, really big box office draw for this movie.
Mhm.
And I mean, a Michael Mann action war movie in the 90s? Who could resist?
Yeah, truly. I mean,
Starring Daniel Day-Lewis at his second hottest after Phantom Thread.
the people didn't even know what was going. They were like, "This must be the he
I
could
know,
certainly
no.
not get hotter, right?"
And then they saw him in those tailored little suits, and they were like, "Oh,
Well, at the time of recording, the Avatar franchise as a whole, like Gabby said, has now grossed over $6 billion. Crazy number. Avatar Fire and Ash has added 760 million to that sum so far. So Fire and Ash has made $760 million. What was the box office on Last of the Mohicans?
I'm finding out right now because I can do that with the internet." 143 million dollars in
Okay,
1990. What was it? 92?
yeah,
92. So that's
adjusted for inflation, probably
like
close.
350,
Yeah,
400.
yeah, okay,
Yeah. So pretty big hit for
yeah.
a war epic, you know, um, starring a British actor or Irish
Yeah.
actor
Um. So yeah,
of a pretty
pretty.
American story. But under the plot summary section in our outline, I have literally written and highlighted Evan's problem. So, Evan, would you like to sum up Last of the Mohicans for us? Because I truly don't think I can.
Yeah, Last of the Mohicans follows Hawkeye, the adopted son of Chingachgook, and his other son Uncas, effectively Hawkeye's brother, as they're traveling through the Northeast, around the New York area. they are friends with the British that have come over, and right now the British and the French are in a huge land dispute. They're trying to take more land for themselves. Obviously, there's a lot of indigenous tribes that are also here, and the loyalty is being split up amongst who do the colonial armies fight with, who do the indigenous people fight with, and Hawkeye and his family find themselves in a situation where they are escorting a British general's daughter to the fort that he is at, and it kind of embroils them in this larger conflict as the French and a Huron man named Magua close in.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, for Off the Dome,
That's
not
pretty
bad.
good. That's pretty good for Off the Dome. And as you can see, I am, from my background, I am currently sitting among the colonizers. Just where I want to be after Avatar. What did you think from your first watch? It was also my first watch, at least all the way through. I told Evan before recording, I think I have some memories of this movie like being on in the background, like my dad maybe threw it on, but I had obviously never seen it all the way through. It's quite long also, or at least
Yeah.
it felt quite long. But I was a little underwhelmed by it, but also am, just very taken by Daniel Day-Lewis and the performance and kind of the romance of it all, and a little bit less, and also the betrayal elements, but a little bit less with like the land dispute.
Yeah. How did you end up watching it? We talked about how I rented it from Apple and it was rough.
Yeah, I also rented it from Apple. It was not the best transfer.
Yeah.
Not great quality. It honestly looked like maybe 720p.
If that.
If that. And I watched it on my laptop in bed at my fiance's parents' house in Palm Springs.
Wow. That's incredible because I also watched it on my laptop, but on the
Ooh.
floor of my childhood bedroom because I didn't want to be
Wow.
on my bed.
Wow. Do you think that Michael Mann intended it to be that way? That when he made this movie, he was like, there are two brats that haven't been born yet, and someday they're going to start a podcast and they're going to like analyze my movie, my magnum opus. I think his magnum opus is Heat, which is a better movie, but whatever.
I think that's exactly what he was thinking. He also came up with the term podcast in that same
He coined it.
yeah.
He's also joining the Billionaires Club momentarily for coining the term podcast.
There's a live count on when Michael Mann will become a billionaire.
Move over, Cameron. I don't know. I liked it just fine, the movie, but definitely, it felt like a good old fashioned throwback war epic,
Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt about it too. I think maybe I liked it a little bit more than you. Just in the sense that I thought it was and this is another instance in where I would love to hear more of the perspectives of indigenous people around this movie, because it did feel like an interesting way to I know Michael Mann was famously trying to be very historically accurate with this movie. A lot of people actually walked off the set or were fired
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't want to, or not want to, but they got in disagreements with him, right? And so that aspect, but also there is like the portrayal of characters, and
Mm-hmm.
is some of this feeding into caricatures or things like that. I would love to hear more perspectives on that. But regardless, it was really interesting to see these to see the indigenous actors like Wes
Yeah.
Studi,
West Judy.
in as Magua in this role as well. And Daniel Day-Lewis, I know this was a huge role for him. Obviously, I think put him on the map,
This was
right?
kind of a breakthrough for him. Yeah, like he
Yeah.
was relatively unknown at this point, or actually, I take that back. Was My Left Foot before this?
Oh,
I
it
think
might have been around the same
My
time,
Left
right?
Foot was before this, so he had like definitely broken through, but I don't think he was seen as like a leading man yet, But he may have already had an Oscar, which is kind of crazy. But he
Yeah,
is
and
Daniel
he
Day-Lewis. So
was
oh yeah,
committed to this role.
My Left Foot was in 1989, so he
Okay,
already
got
had
it.
an Oscar under the belt.
And he, is out there doing it again, you know, doing being method, so to speak, but also just like he's running around. Like the scenes of them running are so intense and so
Yeah.
cool. Like the way he shoots and directs it is just like, oh my god, like they're just and
It's
yeah.
very, yeah, very athletic filmmaking, which I
Hmm.
appreciate. Like it feels, like you're in it with them. Which I think is probably the best way to get the audience like really in that moment, like I feel like when you do like a wide shot from afar or
Hmm.
something like that, you're not really feeling the same urgency in the story or like
Hmm.
of the battles of the fights, the scalpings, if you will,
Oh
in this
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Many
Oh man.
scalpings.
Benny scalpings. Yeah. I've never wanted to hold a rifle or shoot a rifle before. This movie makes me want to shoot a rifle. Daniel
Oh,
Day-Lewis shooting two rifles at the same time. That's
ugh,
crazy.
that was
That's so
cinema.
cool.
That was cinema right there.
And I think also this was a movie where when I started it, it was pretty late at night. And I was like, I know I have to watch for the podcast tomorrow. I don't have time tomorrow to watch it beforehand. So not the end of the world if I don't finish it tonight, right? Obviously, you know, I get a lot of flack for not finishing the movies in one sitting. I don't
Mhm.
like being that way, okay? Trust me.
You're
But
just
this
a
one
sleepy
was like,
guy.
I was like, yeah, it's 2 hours. I might not finish it. I made it all the way through, and I think aside from the action, aside from the direction, another great part of this movie is Madeline Stowe, her character
Excellent in
Cora,
this movie.
the connection between her and Hawkeye, Dan Day Lewis's character. It's so, like you said, Gabby, it's so romantic, but it also
Yeah.
is like she just has like such a look about her. Obviously she's very beautiful, but just like this the determination in her character. I was like, "Oh, she is a little bit more elevated than like what you would think this character is going to be."
Yeah, especially for the early 90s, I was kind of surprised,
Yes.
especially that scene where she turns down the proposal
Yeah, yeah.
from Duncan. Like she says like my answer has to be no or something and like she's very firm and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, go girl. You tell him
Yeah.
off. Go be with Daniel Day." Um
Yeah.
And yeah, the romance really caught me off guard for this movie. It's something I wasn't really expecting, not
Mhm.
knowing about very much about that element. But I was the most invested in it, I think. And just, I mean, I was also pretty invested in, God, the like ultimate kind of betrayal and sort of double agentness
Oh, of
at
Magua.
play of Magua. That was really interesting to me,
Yeah.
but a lot of the other kind of wartime stuff with the land disputes and the generals and everything, I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
bored,
yeah.
but
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I was
I'm
like, "All
bored.
right."
But yeah, I was. It really took me back, that romance element, to like we used to have movies like this, man. We used to have
Yeah.
like with a little bit of everything, action, romance, adventure,
Yeah.
guns. I don't
Um,
know, not just white people, but mostly white people.
the
But it doesn't feel shoehorned in.
yes,
One of those
yeah.
things. It was a real '90s throwback night for me watching this
I
movie.
I love the subtitle when his father is like, "What are they doing to my white son?" So funny. I know it's not
I
supposed to be funny, but it was so
I
funny.
also, what's really funny is that when I suggested this movie, I had no idea that it was about an adopted white son. Zero idea. All I knew
Oh,
was
yeah.
that, so like the spider element in Way of Water being so prevalent, and then this Hawkeye narrative matching up with it is really like a link that I didn't know was coming, but I had just kind of known in the back of my head that the original Avatar and the series have kind of been likened to this movie and
Mhm,
Pocahontas and a couple of
mhm.
others like it. So I was like, let's do that one. I've never seen it. Could be good. It could be fun.
Yeah,
And little did we know that we were going to get a pairing of two white sons.
yeah, I mean, and there's 2 ways to look at it too with, like, let to break it apart a little bit of some of the other interesting links of this movie. So the character of of Hawkeye, we can liken it both to Jake Sully as well as Spider, right? And we'll start with the Spider component of this adopted nature of the characters and them both being embedded within the cultures that they are adopted into, but are
Hmm.
also seen by their actual heritage, right? For Hawkeye's mistaken as a colonial scout. And
Hmm.
he's like, I don't work for you, your king is
Right.
no king of mine, or whatever the line is. And same thing with
That's a good
Spider,
line.
where they're like, oh, he uh has been raised with humans, but now but humans that are friendly to the Na'vi, and now these other humans he doesn't know or get them at all. But Quaritch is his actual father and wants to, bring him back into this world. And you see these two characters both rejecting the places they're quote unquote supposed to be from, and in
Hmm.
favor of this culture that they have been brought into. In Hawkeye's case, he doesn't really shove it into your face as much as Spider does.
Yeah, Hawkeye kind of just lives it.
Mhm,
Like it's deeply embedded in him. It is who he is. And Spider feels a little more at conflict with his identity and a little
mhm,
more, like still curious about where he came from. Like I feel like he's more curious in Way of Water, and in Fire and Ash he's sort of made the choice that like no, I don't want to be part of this, like I don't want to
mhm,
be Miles Quaritch's son, or he says at some point like my father is dead,
mhm,
like you're just his memories or whatever. But um yeah, I think that Spider's just a little more at conflict, and Hawkeye is just fully accepted and embodies, this culture and this
mhm,
life, and is willing to fight and die for it. As Spider I guess is too. He like, when he tells Jake to kill him, he's like, I'll die for this.
mhm.
Um
And there's
so
an
yeah.
interesting moment, I mean, full spoilers, I guess, for Last of the Mohicans, but, like, in towards the end of the movie, there's a situation where Hawkeye is trying to convince the other chief, Magua's chief, I believe, the Huron chief,
Mhm.
to give back the two girls, Cora and her sister Alice,
Yeah.
and in turn to either to take him instead, right? In her stead.
Yeah.
Because at this point, Cora and Hawkeye will sacrifice each other
Yeah,
themselves for
for
each
each
other,
other.
you know.
No problem.
Um, and the chief decides that they'll send back Duncan, the British officer. They'll send Alice, the younger sister, with Magua as like a
Mhm.
mercy thing. So he can go on a journey. They're kind of like
Yeah.
what is it? Banning him from the tribe almost a little
Yeah.
bit. And but they will kill Cora because her father, the general, has done a lot of bad things. And
Yeah.
in a moment of desperation, um Hawkeye says, "No, take me. I am the last of the Mohicans. I am the
Mhm.
last of the line," right? We know that he's full uh white, so to speak,
Yeah.
English,
Mm.
right? But the chief doesn't know that. The chief sees this man who is committed to doing this thing, and but the chief is for a moment into that idea, but it's Duncan who says, "No, take me instead. I'm an English officer," and leave him.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't get to fill out that kind of like pseudo destiny
Sacrifice moment.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
And at the end, when Uncas, his brother, is killed by Magua, and then
Yeah.
Chingachgook takes revenge, Chingachgook looks at Hawkeye and says, "I am the last of the Mohicans." And we
Doesn't he say
know
he says I am, or doesn't he say Uncas it was?
he says Uncas was, and
Yeah,
now
Uncas
he
was the
is.
last.
But now
Oh,
he is, because Uncas is dead, he has become the
right.
last of the Mohicans again. And that is actually a theme that is important in the books, but we now in that moment we know that even though Hawkeye has accepted himself into this culture, right? This
Mhm.
culture it's beyond,
Right.
this
It
from the
hasn't accepted
bloodline.
him back.
Whereas with Spider, we have this acceptance from Awa that of some middle ground of that these other creatures that have come to this planet can now live on this earth. It is an interesting like this of like it's not necessarily nature versus nurture, but it is that type of thing, right? It's like where do you belong and where do you fit in, and how accepted are you in that moment? It is an interest. It is reaching, but it is also very interesting to compare the two and how they treat it.
Yeah, I mean, especially like Fire and Ash ends with Spider being able to go to that sort of spiritual
Oh, the tree.
realm,
He can tap into the
the
tree now.
tree. He
That's
can
right.
tap in. So it is like kind of his full acceptance
Mm-hmm.
into the tribe, the people.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been accepted, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of like him and Sigourney Weaver in her actual form, not her Na'vi form, are the
Yes.
only humans there to rep,
Mm-hmm.
the only pink skins around. But that I found that scene completely bizarre, but
Yeah, it is
very
what.
off-putting, and also just weird way to end your trilogy with spiders. Like your Jake Sully trilogy, you're ending with Spider's
Yeah.
acceptance into this realm. If Avatar 4 is a Spider Chronicle, I'm out. I'm so out. I've never been more out.
The Spider Wick Chronicles.
Ooh,
You
I
know those
loved those
books?
books.
Yeah,
I
me too. Me
loved those
too.
books. I was so excited when they made one movie of them,
Oh
and
no,
then it
Freddie
was not
Highmore shout
good.
out.
It was not good. And I was like, I love it anyway.
Yeah, my friend Michael sent me some AI slop today of
Mm.
a teaser trailer for Avatar 4, and
Ooh.
it opens with Spider, Kiri, and their babies, and I was like, "Oh no,
Ugh.
that's exactly what's gonna happen."
Oh my god, can they have babies? I
Hey,
don't
only
know if they
Awa
can have
knows.
sex. I don't think they can. Like they kiss. They do kiss in this movie, but
Yeah.
she's like a lot larger than him, and she's only supposed to be like 14. Like she's not even a full grown Navi yet.
I mean, I think he's 14 too, like
I know
8-year
he's
time
supposed
skip.
to be
8-year time skip.
I know he's supposed to be like 14, but he's not. He is just simply not, you know? He's like a 19-year-old boy trying to embody 14, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting, but they never give us Daniel Day-Lewis's age for Hawkeye,
Yeah,
so it's a little more gray, you know?
that's true. Hawkeye and Jake Sully, I think, are really interesting parallels too of both
Definitely.
men who have decided to accept the culture, right, and fight on the side of
Right. And
fight against the
abandon
people. Yes,
that they
abandon
were
their
born into and fight
exactly.
against them.
Yeah,
And yeah, some would say treasonous, others would say heroic.
yeah.
The right thing to do if your people are perpetrating something evil,
Hmm.
like colonialism.
Yeah,
We agree with Big Jim on colonialism.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
anti.
100%.
Got to come out and say that on the pod in the year
Yeah.
2025. While it's still 2025, Back to the Future is anti-colonial.
Anti-colonials. No, 100%.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I thought, and also too that like this does have the warring tribes in it in a sense, like different tribes feeling different allegiance to different people or different factions.
Right.
Both Fire and Ash and Last of the Mohicans had that in common as well. I think some great action scenes. Really, really happy we landed on this link for sure. Between the two films.
It's almost like we did it on purpose, but this time we really can't say that we did. We
No,
didn't.
and I'm glad that both of us hadn't seen it too. Like I do think that I'm glad that I got to fill in this blind spot. I'm trying to think of other highlights of the film. But like Gabby was saying, it is just kind of like a classic. It feels so classic. Oh, the score is something that people on
The
Letterboxd are talking
score,
about a
yeah,
lot.
the
The
score is
score is
crazy.
very pronounced, but it is also
It's
like
like
pretty good.
it's really good in like the epic battle scenes, but
Yes, yeah.
in the other scenes it was kind of putting me to sleep, I'm not going to lie. Like it's like very beautiful music, but it's very like slow and like
Hmm.
soaring music, and I was like, just lulling myself into like
Yeah.
slumber. But then like a bunch of muskets would go off and I'd be like, oh, okay, we're back.
Um, oh, the waterfall goodbye scene too between Korra
Mm.
and Hawkeye is really great. That whole I'm like, how did they find that location, or how did they make it? Like, they're just
We
screaming.
used
I
to
really
make
do think
things,
that's like a
Evan.
waterfall.
No, it's definitely a real waterfall. Has to be. It has to be a real waterfall.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Truly, we did used to make things and
We
find
used
real
to make
waterfalls.
things. Michael Mann
Oh,
used to make things. He's making things still. But
Heat
does
too.
this movie make you more likely to watch Heat for the first time, or am I going to have to
Oh, of
pair it with
course.
something?
No, no,
Okay.
no. I mean, I'll definitely eventually watch Heat. I'm just,
Heat Heat is his actual magnum opus.
The other thing I wanted to say about this movie and Avatar Fire and Ash, which is an interesting thing, is that we talked about how we both watched this on Apple TV, really bad transfer, really bad quality. Yet, maybe it's because we grew up in the 2000s watching VHSs on shitty TVs of things shot on film with less CGI, right? But
Mm.
this movie still looks good, even
Oh,
though
it
you're
does. It
watching
looks
it in
great.
terrible quality. And you
No, it
said
looks
something
great.
earlier, which I thought was really astute, of just like, why do we let such bad CGI pass in our movies these days when you have the Avatar movies? And I
Hmm.
think if some crazy part of my brain is like, if you were to watch the Avatar movies in like 360, 720 in quality, it would still have all that depth of the light and shadows that the same this is crazy thing to say, but that that Last of the Mohicans had, that make it still watchable because you're not just watching the
Yeah,
Wicked
like
for Good
no,
Netflix
like
CGI Avengers Marvel
flattened
sheen, you
out.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
flattened out crap. Yeah. We used to make things, Evan.
I know.
That's going to be
God,
another segment on our show.
yeah.
The we used to make things hour,
Well, I was editing
where
one
we
of the
just
other
scream at the sky about how things used to be not Netflix pilled.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when we on the Wicked for Good episode, we were joking around about how we should have a segment called "Why Does It Look Like That?" Why does it look like that? Goes straight into we used to make things.
Okay, good. I'm glad that we're getting some new creative ideas going here on our last episode of the year.
We'll see you back
Revamping.
in 20 at the end of 2026 to see how many of these that we actually accomplished.
Well, we talked about a couple of alternate pairings for this. And we have Pocahontas, which
Hmm.
I think Pocahontas would be a better pairing with the original Avatar, but
Yes, 100%.
because it's like, the white
John
prince
Smith,
coming
yeah.
to the native woman's love interest, and getting the approval from the father and the tribe.
Hmm.
It's the same story. But I'm sure James did okay in his lawsuit because then he made more. Um you also wrote down the original Avatar as a pairing, which
Yeah,
wouldn't have been bad, but would have made us have to watch Avatar again and
I
consume more
know.
content of Avatar.
And as much as
Um,
I know I'm saying all these words, the Ikrin and Awa and all
Words
that
I
stuff,
didn't know until just now.
and Loak and Neteyam, flying around on their
Who are
Ikrin in the spirit
they?
world. Who are they? I don't think I
I
could
know
have.
one of them is dead.
Yeah, Neteyam. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, he died.
he died.
Um,
He's the one
yeah.
that says bro all. I mean, they all say bro all the time,
They
actually.
say that all the time, or cuz. And I'm like, can you just
Cause
like
yeah,
use your names? I don't
we
know
didn't
any of
even
your
talk about
names.
Baby Took in this one.
Oh, she's really cute. I like that. I like that she's a baby, but she's like 5'8".
Yeah. We also didn't talk about Sigourney Weaver as Kiri too much, but I
um,
think that's
she
okay.
disturbed me a little bit in this movie. She was just making a lot of like noises and undulations that I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, okay, girl, what's happening here? Tell me more.
Yeah.
Um, but we essentially learned that she's like a clone, I guess.
Yeah, she is
I
no,
don't know where that's
she's
gonna go.
Jesus. She's the Immaculate Conception.
I know she's like Na'Vi Jesus, but she
Yeah.
says like I'm a clone, and I was like, wait a second, we're bringing clones into this now, straight up clones. Hmm.
Well, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
Na'vi transfers,
Not
clones.
Na'vi transfers, clones. Yeah. Well, only A1 knows. But yeah, I don't think I could have done Avatar 1 this week.
No. Other option that I have not seen but suggested because I know it's a very intense like battle and war movie is Black Hawk Down. Was on the mind because I believe this is the one Quentin Tarantino just rated as the best movie of the last 25 years. He made his own little list. Not that I'm putting much stock in that after he slandered Paul Dano. We don't stand for that on this pod either.
Yeah.
But Evan deemed Black Hawk Down too intense.
I thought, yeah. I was like, I haven't seen it either, but maybe.
It does seem, just from the trailer, it seems pretty intense. But I was just thinking, like, what are some big, like, kind of
Yeah, we were talking about war
modern
movies.
battle
Yeah.
movies, you know,
Yeah.
modern war movies? Because I was not gonna pair this with Apocalypse Now. Mm-mm.
No. But yeah, I think Last of the Mohicans ended up being a really solid pairing, and I don't know. It was cool to have watched it. I don't think this is one I would have ever actually
No.
watched. You know, there are those movies that you have in your life where you're like, I should watch that, and then you never do.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
think
the
this
same
would have
with
been that
books.
movie for sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like everyone
Yeah.
has some books that they're like, oh, everyone's read this book. I should probably read it too, like the classic canon or something. And you just never do. You buy the book, you take it from the library, you never read it.
1000%.
Should we tease our first episode of the new year coming soon?
Marty Supreme, Christmas Day.
Marty Supreme.
I actually was. I think mentally I thought that that's what we were going to be talking about today, and I forgot to put it on our little scheduling calendar. And I texted Gabby, I was like, I got to go back and fix everything because, yeah, we both saw that movie. I think there's a lot to get into with that one as well.
I can't wait. Longest
Yeah.
episode yet incoming. Let's go.
Oh,
prepare Marty heads. Let's go.
All right. Yeah.
Y'all
Rise
have like
up.
a week and a half to see Marty. Get on the level, okay?
Oh yeah, and our pairing with that is not fully locked in, but it's almost there.
It's almost locked in, but I think we're getting there.
And I'll say
reach a consensus.
I'll say if you're a fan of Paul Newman, you might know what movie we're talking about.
I know exactly what it is, but I already wrote it down.
Well, that's it for us today. If you're listening to us on audio, leave a review or comment. And don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. You can follow the podcast, of course, on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Future Pod and wherever you get your audio podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening for the past half a year. We really appreciate it.
We'll catch you in the new year. See
Happy
ya.
New Year.